Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first casting I've done in 5 weeks. I've done no talking whatsoever. As soon as I start casting, I start coughing. So, what a pain in the ass. But anyway, maybe my voice is just a piece of crap. Anyway, so I'm coughing, but it's just because my voice and whatever it is. But I do not have the COVID-19, which I'm very happy about. And I have not had it yet, so I haven't got sick yet, which is definitely a good thing. So, yeah. So basically, I've been planning to do something by now, but of course, all of the craziness all over the world has sort of hit, and I've basically just said to myself, you know what? I'm just not going to do anything until it all passes. I'm not going to sort of push myself forward until it's all over. So the the walking, which I was going to do, went right in the bin. And I haven't really been doing much else other than just sort of maintaining my current levels of energy, which I've got to say have been going pretty well. So I haven't really had a drop in chronic fatigue since this COVID-19 thing passed. My energy is still pretty much the same, maybe gotten a little bit better, but it's sort of having a little bit of problems right now because work has sort of churned up a bit. So instead of working in the mornings from like 6 until 2, we've sort of split it into shifts. So I'm now working from noon till about 6 p.m, which is a bit of a shift, but it hasn't changed my sleeping times. I still sleep from like 9 till 4. So that hasn't changed. So it's a little bit annoying, but overall I'm doing less hours at work and doing a bit of training, web development training at home, because I'm a software engineer, so a bit of that. So it kind of evens it out, balances out stuff. So still a pain in the ass, but I'm acclimating to it. The first few days were really bad, but it's been like a week and a half, 2 weeks now since we've gone to this split working schedule, and yeah, it seems to have. I seem to have acclimated to it pretty much. Tendonitis is still a pain in the ass. I'm not working out as much as I should because I'm worried about my energy, but chronic fatigue doesn't seem to be too bad. It's obviously stress has been a very big factor. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Stress is a very big cause of energy, and there's been a lot of stress, mainly due to getting groceries like the first couple of weeks of this whole thing, but that's sort of gotten a bit better. I'm getting groceries a bit better now. I've stocked up a crap load in my second freezer. So if an emergency does hit, like an emergency, then I've got a couple of weeks that I don't need to go shopping. So yeah, I can survive for a little bit, so that's all right. Now, I wasn't actually going to do this video because I said, I shouldn't exert myself at all if I don't have to, and technically doing a video is exerting myself, but I had a sudden urge to do this video instead of taking a nap. I'm supposed to be taking a nap at the moment, but had the urge to do the video. I was like, why not? So going to do the video instead. So yeah, I'm actually quite uncomfortable giving people advice. I know I've been sort of making myself as sort of an authority on I was about to say coronavirus. I'm not an authority on coronavirus, not at all. I'm an authority on CFS. I think I can sort of say that at this point because, look, I did make myself better. I did come out of it on the other side of 4 months and I was better. Like, I'm still better. Like, my chronic fatigue is still in a really good place at the moment. And the fact that I haven't really had a chronic fatigue hit during this coronavirus is a good thing. I did have one time. So there was one time where I took 2 days off in a row. Well, I went to work and I was feeling really out of it. This was after we started the split shift, and I was like my second day working in the afternoon. I went into work and I was stressed out about everything. I was really zonked out. So I said, you know what? I'm going home. I'm going to have a sleep. And then the next day I was feeling a bit better, but I took a sick day anyway. I was like, better play it safe. And since then I've been going to work and I've been sort of dealing with it, and it's been fine. So that was my point where I was sort of like the stress was hitting me. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go rest. I saw the signs and I went home and I rested, rested for 2 days, and I came out of it fine on the other end. So that's fine. I've been dealing a bit with migraines as well. I had a really bad one yesterday, which is the only one I've had in the last couple of months. Really bad one yesterday, and I got a little bit of one today. But I think it may be tied to computer use, like overuse, like as in playing the computer nonstop for 6 hours without really doing anything else. And I felt the headache coming on, but I wasn't really sure. All I had was this funny feeling in my brain that something bad was happening. I was like, screw it. I'm playing this new game. I don't give a shit. I want to keep playing. And then I had the headache, and in retrospective, it was like, okay, yeah, I could see it coming. And I can feel it coming right now. So I've been doing a bit of computer, but I've been making it a bit more hopscotch today. So bit of computer, bit off doing something else, giving myself some breaks, blah, blah, blah. And I felt it coming this morning, and I gave myself a break, and it never hit. It just sort of bubbled in the background. So that's going to be really awesome if that was the cause, because I've never really nailed down on the cause previously, but if that was the cause, then that's got to be awesome. Well, one of the causes anyway. I'm sure there are other things that can cause it, but anyway. And it's the first time, and it's on a Saturday that it happened, so it wasn't on a work day. If I start getting migraines using the computer at work, that would be a problem. But it's only at home when I'm like overusing the computer, just doing way too much. And at work, I take breaks and stuff like that. If I get sick of it, I go out and I check my phone, I take a break, blah, 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 blah. It's only at home when I'm playing computer games that I tend not to take a break. And it's very rare that I won't take a break, because these days games don't hold me for that long. But this was a really good game. EVE Online, I got back into it after a couple of years, and I was hooked. And I just wanted to play and play and play. And I got a migraine, so now I know not to do that. But anyway, so I think I'm an authority on chronic fatigue. So I think I'm probably enough of a authority to give advice to other people, which, to be honest, with this coronavirus crap going on, I feel very uncomfortable giving anybody advice about anything, because people are going to be a bit desperate, and that's just normal people. People with chronic fatigue are going to be even more desperate. I know I was uneasy at the start. I mean, I'm fairly young. I'm 35, so I'm not too worried about dying or anything like that, but I know I've got an increased risk. And for me, it's just a case of, well, whatever happens, happens. You hope for the best and you prepare for the worst. That's my advice. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. So I've prepared for actually getting the coronavirus. I'm not going to go to hospital unless I have to. I'm going to stay at home. I got a bunch of Demazin. I got a bunch of Coldrel. I got a bunch of Panadol. I got enough. I know I got enough drugs to keep me going for 2 weeks. And all my normal pills, the normal pills that I usually take, I've got a pretty decent supply of. I've been having a bit of trouble getting them from my naturopath, but I've been sort of keeping on top of it. And I just got an email from her yesterday that a back shipment had come through, so should be getting those in a few days. But overall, I've been sort of keeping on top of it. I haven't got nuts. I haven't got like a year's supply, but I should be good for the next couple of months. And if things keep calming down, then I should be all right. So, yeah, if I could give any advice to anybody, it's, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. Now, there's a lot of people out there saying, don't do stupid things. Don't go out and get like 6 months worth of toilet paper and stuff like that. Blah, 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 blah. Don't go out and go absolutely crazy. And to a certain degree, I would agree with those people. But there's a factor that most people don't consider, and that is, like, for me personally, stress causes fatigue. So being stressed out makes me physically weaker. And if I'm physically weaker, then I'm more likely to get really screwed over by the virus. So it's my responsibility to keep my stress down. And that is why I have stocked up a little bit more than I probably would have otherwise, because I don't panic easily. I'm not even panicked at the moment. I stress, but I don't panic. I'm not sure how to actually explain that. let's put it this way. Stress is an emotional response to a situation for me. For some other people, it may be a logical response. They may really think that the shit is going to hit the fan. If I apply logic to it, I don't think that the shit is going to hit the fan. I think that everything's going to work out. I think that there may be some setbacks, some bad things that may happen, and that's logically what I think, that some bad things may happen, that you may run out of some things at some point. And then my emotional state grabs hold of those bad things that might happen and goes full stress mode. And that's what causes my anxiety, and that's what causes my fatigue. So I think of whatever logically could go bad, and then I take steps to address that to make sure that it's not going to go bad. So, for example, food I'm not too worried about because people aren't going to stock up on frozen food too much because they got nowhere to put it. Like, there's only so many freezers in the world. So I don't need to worry too much about that running out. And they're not going to close down farms as far as I know because everybody needs food. So that's fine. So all the food that I'm buying should be available. And it has proven to be available. There was a couple of weeks where it was very low, but it sort of bounced back and it seems to be okay at the moment. For a while, I was doing 2 or even 3 shopping trips per week. Last week, I did 1. I got everything I needed. So, yes. And I bought some toilet paper off eBay, which is lateral thinking. Absolutely lateral thinking. So I used that to buy some other stuff as well. So like some things, food, I'm not worried about. Other things like soap, shampoo, dishwashing tablets, laundry detergent, there's stuff you can keep on the shelf forever, which means that there's stuff that people are going to go nuts and buy a crap load of just because it's not going to run out. It's not going to go off. So I did buy a lot of that stuff. Again, off eBay because I knew the shops weren't going to give me anything. So I've got enough for like 6 months for some of that stuff. And again, not because I think I'm not going to be able to get it. Well, actually, I didn't know. A few weeks ago when I put in the orders, I really didn't know. There was too much up in the air. And like I said, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. I said that the wrong way around, but anyway, so a bit of panic buying. Well, for some people it's panic buying. For me, it's taking care of my stress because I know that if I don't have it and I'm going week to week with some of this stuff, week to week with non-perishable items like toilet paper, if I'm surviving week to week, then I'm going to stress about it. And that's bad because stress causes fatigue. So so what other people do that's panic buying, for me, I do exactly the same thing, but it's not panic buying, it's controlling my stress. So yeah, if you could want to call it panic buying, whatever, I don't care. So anyway, that's my explanation for that. So yeah, if something is stressing you out and there is a way to get around it, then get around it. Like anything that's potentially going to stress you out, just sort it out. As soon as you can, as much as you can, take care of it, get around it, and then you only have to stress about the things that you can't control. I'm a control freak. I've always been a control freak, and being a control freak in this situation will help you out. It will help you out because there's some things that you can't control, other things that you can control now. And yeah. So I made sure I'm stocked up. I've got a decent amount of vitamins, a decent amount of cold and flu medicine and Panadols, which I've been using a bit of Panadols because of migraine-related stuff, and stocked up on non-perishable food items, so I should be fine for that. But I'm expecting that with all the indications I'm getting, they're talking about like June-ish is going to be the peak, and then it'll sort of slow down after that. So I got enough non-perishables to last through that, and I expect the supply to sort of get better over time from now on anyway, because I think the panic is sort of, there was a wave of panic, but now either the panic is going to stop when it comes to panic buying, or people just have enough now, so they're not going to keep buying a crap load or anything like that. Hopefully that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, it's irrelevant to me because I've got enough, so I should be fine. And my voice is already starting to go. Apart from that, just sort of, bunker down. If like, don't worry about pushing yourself forward too much. Just maintain where you are, and yeah, that's pretty much it. If you were, in a good place, then stay in a good place. If you were in a bad place, then, I don't know, actually. If you're in a bad place, then just try and maintain, I guess. I mean, maintaining in a bad place is not really good advice, but then again, there are no quick fixes for chronic fatigue syndrome. There's just not. If you're in a bad place and you're worried about getting the coronavirus, you can't pull yourself out of chronic fatigue. You can't get from where you are to where I am in a few weeks. It's not going to happen. So if you're in a bad place, honestly, the best thing you can do is just do what everybody is telling you to do, like self-isolate. I mean, get what you need to do to de-stress, like the food and all that sort of stuff. I mean, if you can order it online, order it online. Get that stuff sorted out, relieve your stress as much as possible, and just sort of wall yourself off as much as you can. Self-isolate, maintain, and don't take any risks whatsoever. Now, I've said before in previous videos that you have to sort of push yourself a little bit at certain times to recover from chronic fatigue. If you're in a bad place and you spend all day lying in bed doing nothing, you're going to improve to a certain point and then you're going to stop improving. And after that, that's when you have to start sort of pushing yourself a little bit, doing a little bit more and a little bit more, and that's how you get yourself out of chronic fatigue. Okay? And that's good advice if there wasn't a freaking pandemic going on, okay? Because if there's a pandemic going on, you do not want to do that. This is my advice. This is what I understand it, because the way it works is exactly the same way that exercising works for most people. Is that you're in bed all day, you're doing barely anything, and your body gets used to it. So what you do is you go out and you walk around for like 5 minutes a day, and then you go back to bed. This is really, really bad CFS people. So if you're in a position where you're lying in bed all day and you can't do anything, then you're really, really screwed over. If you know who you are. If you're watching this video, you know who you are. So if there was no pandemic going on, then I would absolutely give you the advice of lying in bed all day and then start to slowly improve yourself. Maybe try and get out of bed. If you can't get out of bed, then roll over. Start to do a little bit more every day. And what that does is it tells your body that it needs to sort of get with the program, that you're giving it more activity, so it needs to sort of improve itself. Basically start working, start building up your muscles, that sort of thing. Same thing with exercise. You go on the bloody exercise machine, you work out, you do that sort of stuff. It sends the message that you're doing more, and your body says, oh, I'm doing more. I better send more energy to the muscles. I better start expending more energy to build up the muscles, to sort of increase your metabolism. I'm not sure if metabolism has anything to do with it, but that's how exercise works. You're telling your body to do more, and your body gets the message, and your muscles get bigger, and you get fitter, and you get stronger, but you use up more energy. So if you start exercising and you're using up more energy, then, I mean, if you're eating more and you're doing more, then that's okay. But for a person in chronic fatigue, you have to do it very slowly and very carefully, because you can easily go over your energy threshold. And I had the guide around here somewhere. It's the, was it PM? Oh, where's this bloody guide? Yes, the post-exertional malaise and graded exercise therapy, which I think I have linked previously in some of my things. But anyway, it's basically going over your energy envelope, just pushing yourself too hard, and then you crash. So that's a normal situation. Now, this is kind of the crux of what I'm getting at, is that getting out of chronic fatigue, making yourself better, is a very slow and gradual process. And unless you're an expert, unless you're a genius like me, like I'm a freaking genius, like I'm really good at this shit. I'm really good at understanding where I am, how my body is feeling, how it's going, what is going on, blah, blah, blah. So for the most part, I can avoid crashing. And if I crash only a little bit. I'm an expert at this, okay? Like I could almost say do not try this at home, but I'm not even trying this. So this is the point. This is the point I'm trying to make. To get better in chronic fatigue syndrome, to improve your overall level of energy, you have to risk crashing. If you know what you're doing, you push yourself a little bit and you don't crash. If you don't know what you're doing, you push yourself too much and you end up crashing. In normal circumstances, crashing is going to be, I have to lie down for a week or 2 weeks or a few days or something like that. I feel like shit for a few days. And then you slowly recover and you get back to where you were before and you try again, and this time you try not to crash. Okay? That's normal. That's normal recovery from CFS. You're trying to build yourself up slowly, and the fact is you have to risk crashing. If you go slowly enough and carefully enough, then you shouldn't crash. But yeah, there's always a risk if you go a little bit too hard. Okay? Now, I don't think I have to tell you that crashing when there's a freaking pandemic going on is a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. If you crash and then you get the coronavirus, that's when the shit hits the fan. Like that's like a river of shit hitting the fan. That's like so bad. I'm not trying to freak anybody out, but I'm doing the maths here, okay? You do not want to be in any sort of situation where you crash. So know your limits. Do not go above them. Do not try and improve yourself at this time. With there's chronic fatigue and whatever, you do not try and improve yourself. Now, figure out where your limits are. Stay below them no matter what. Don't do anything, okay? Figure out where your limits are. Stay below them. And just maintain. Now, I don't think that you're going to turn into a vegetable if you just if you've been lying in bed for the last 6 months and just being a vegetable, and you've been slowly starting to improve yourself. Maybe you've been walking for 5 minutes a day or something like that, and you're slowly starting to get better. Then, the pandemic's out there, everything's going to shit, and you decide, I'm going to stop walking for 5 minutes every day, I'm just going to stay in bed. Your chronic fatigue may get a little bit worse. You may lose some progress. That's possible. But the progress you lost is going to be minor. And while it may make you... it's a hard... I would say that any sort of loss in your chronic fatigue sort of... like if you go back and you're sleeping the entire day, lying down the entire day instead of walking for 5 minutes, your chronic fatigue might go a little bit backwards. And theoretically, that means you're a little bit more susceptible to the coronavirus. But that little bit is a drop in the bucket compared to if you start crashing. If you start crashing, that's going to be way more. That's going to be way... Everybody with chronic fatigue knows that if you crash, you're just basically way worse than you are normal. You're just way worse. You've basically just gone way down and you have to get yourself back up. Now, normally you'll get back up naturally after a week or two or a few days, or even for me, it's like a few hours or something like that. You'll get back up to normal and then you're back at your normal level. But yes, definitely you want to avoid crashing at all costs. And if you have to sort of slow your recovery down and maybe it goes a little bit backward, that's fine. That's fine. Maintain it if you can. If you're doing those 5-minute walks a day and then you're lying down the rest of the time, and you've been doing this for like a few weeks, then you keep doing it. Keep doing it. But if you're doing if you've just started doing the 5-minute walks a day, and you're feeling really unsteady on your feet, and you're feeling like, I just want to go down and lie down, but you're saying, this is part of my recovery. I got to do those 5-minute walk a day, and I want to keep doing them to try and recover. but you're feeling a little bit shaky, a little bit like you might be pushing yourself, even though you haven't crashed, you feel like you might be pushing yourself, I would just stop it. I would just stop it, because one day, I mean, you've got all this stress from the pandemic coming down. All this stress is going on top of you, and that stress may cause you fatigue. I'm not sure if that's how it works for everybody. That's how it works for me, but this stress is going to potentially cause you fatigue. So I would back off. If you're feeling a little bit unsteady about those walks, I would back off, because your fatigue may go up as a result of the stress. And even if you're feeling fine about those 5-minute walks, even if you've been doing it for a couple of months, the stress may cause you a little bit of fatigue, and then you might start to feel unsteady about those walks, unsteadier than you were, and it might start to feel a little bit more fatiguey. Then you should just pull back. Just pull back, just stop doing them, get yourself back to a safe threshold level, because it's just not worth the risk at this point. You do not want to crash. Now, this is just me, okay? This is just my experience and my understanding, and yeah, the coronavirus, because I'm not going to beat around the bush here. I mean, if you have chronic fatigue and you're so bad that you're lying in bed, then you are probably at risk. Now, I'm not a doctor, so I can't tell you how things, are going to be and what's going to happen and blah, 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 blah. But you don't have to be a friggin' doctor to know that if you've got friggin' chronic fatigue, then you're more likely to get seriously ill than somebody who doesn't have chronic fatigue. You don't need to be a genius to know that. So, yeah, I'm not going to say, anything terrible. I've been talking around a lot of terrible things here in this video, and if you can read between the lines, then you know what I'm saying. But you knew that already. You knew that before you even started watching this video. So here's the deal, okay? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You need to get yourself into that stable point where you're not pushing yourself. You need to reduce to zero your risk of crashing. Absolutely reduce it to zero. And you just need to stabilize yourself and just keep yourself at a point where you're not going to crash and you're not going to increase your fatigue by stressing, okay? Cut down on the stress as much as possible. Do what you can to cut down on the stress, and don't do anything crazy, and just sort of ride it out. I mean, the wonderful thing about the coronavirus is, from my understanding, and again, I'm not a doctor, but from my understanding is once you get it, you're not going to get it again. So you get it, you get sick, you cough out whatever it is, and you get crook for 2 weeks, and then it's gone, and then it's passed. And if you're suffering from frigging chronic fatigue and you're spending all your day lying down, I don't know, maybe there's a fair chance that you won't get it at all. I mean, I don't know. Some people I've talked to say that everybody's going to get it. But, I mean, if you stay at home all day, maybe you won't. Maybe it's just not going to happen. So, we'll have to see how it goes. We'll have to see. But, obviously, play it safe. Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And as long as you're doing everything you can do to make sure that if you get it, then you get through it, then that's all you can do. So don't stress, because stress makes it worse, okay? I may do another video, maybe in a couple of days, about how to not stress, which is weird, because my way of not stressing it's crazy. It's almost insanity, to be honest. But yeah, maybe I'll do a video about that. Maybe I will. But I'm not sure how effective it'll be on anybody else. But I might. So anyway, I'm going to put this video up. I'm going to let you guys know what the deal is. If you feel like stressing is definitely a possibility and you would like to get my advice on how not to stress, feel free to leave me a comment. I don't have a lot of viewers, so if I get even one comment asking for help with stressing, I'll probably put it up. But yeah, let me know. Let me know anything else you want for advice with chronic fatigue and coronavirus. I did get some advice from my naturopath, and she was basically just like, try and help your immune system out. And I think she told me to eat like liver or something like that. I think it was vitamin A and vitamin C. She wanted me to take some vitamin A and she wanted me to eat liver. And I was just like, you know what? I'm feeling pretty good about my chances. I'm not going to eat liver. And I still am. I'm fairly healthy despite all the shit that's going on. I feel pretty confident about my chances if I get chronic fatigue. So I'm not going to go to depths where I eat liver. But yeah, if you want to eat some liver, then there you go. My naturopath said it would help. So, go nuts. But anyway, this is going to be this video. And look forward to my appearance getting shabbier and shabbier because I am not going to really look after myself during this coronavirus thing. I got split schedules at work. And both of my managers are in the morning shift and I'm in the afternoon shift. So there's really nobody who gives a shit about my appearance in the afternoon shift. So I'm gonna keep shaving my mustache because it gets hard to eat when my mustache is too long. But my hair, I might just let it go. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. Anyway, thank you very much. Again, let me know if you guys want anything. I did promise to get proper guides for how to recover from chronic fatigue. I'm not going to do those anytime soon. First of all, because as I said, this is a terrible time to be recovering from chronic fatigue. You don't want to put yourself at risk. Just don't do it. So I'm not going to put those guides up. And also I got to put some thought into it. And that takes energy, which I'm not going to spend during this period. So yeah, I might do the de-stressing video if people want it. If you guys want it, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to concentrate on doing work and relaxing and keeping myself, in high spirits or anything like that. It's not too bad. I got Asperger's, so friggin' social distancing policy is just like, 2 thumbs up from me. I get to chat to everybody on friggin' Messenger. Don't have to see them in person. So yeah, lots and lots of fun. And well, I should say I really miss you, Mum, and I'd really like to see you in person. And it's really terrible that I can't go over and actually talk to you guys in person. So hopefully this this social distancing shuts down. I wonder if she's going to buy it. Oh, I am a terrible son. I know it. My mum knows it, but yeah, I'm sure she's really missing me, and I'm sure as soon as the social distancing crap shuts down, then she'll be straight over, and she'll be probably wanting to see what sort of terrible state my house has fallen into during this period. But anyway, it's actually fine. It's actually not doing too bad. So don't worry about it, Mum. It's all good. It's all good. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys when I see you guys. Have a good one.